In this second segment, we'll shift to seraphic and celestial governments, the vast administrative network that keeps the universe functioning in harmony. We'll explore the roles of seraphim, their hierarchies, and how celestial administration guides worlds like ours through crisis, growth, and destiny. This is the architecture of divine order, intricate, purposeful, and always oriented towards the uplift of creation. So what can you tell us about these associations beyond just the human? And we're going to talk about the one about with us and God, but these associations, these celestial associations.
The celestial government is looking at us to that we're in a state of creation. We're being created.
Okay.
We're not a finished product. We're being remodeled, or we're being brought
We're
up
work in
to
progress.
a work in progress. Exactly. And the key to the whole thing for mortals is to surrender our authority to God. The Most High's rule in the kingdom of men. And if we can get that in our own lives, that God rules in our lives, we see the bigger picture that has been revealed to us in the fifth epical revelation, of course, that we see it's a gigantic enterprise that's going on behind the scenes that we don't see, that it's huge, that the resources that are deployed of the spiritual agency on the planet, it's immense. You know,
we
in a
marvel
perfect world,
of the human industry, but if you look at the universal industry, the machinery behind it,
cosmic
it's
industry.
exactly cosmic industry. It's beautiful. Yeah, continue, please, Mark.
Yes. And normally we would have that in the vision of the planetary princes, and there would be a central location on the planet that we could go to, and we could see spiritual celestial beings, we could see extraterrestrial beings, and we could see the glory of the God. But because of the rebellion on our planet, that's hidden to us. But we do have the life and teachings of Jesus to still get an understanding of what God has in store for us. And you kind of see it today. There's a lot of good things happening. One of the big things is the celestial music, the Christian music that's out there is so inspiring. I've been on a couple cruises with Mercy Me, the band, and also Zach Williams. And the people who go to those are from all different sectarian religions. But the music bonds people together. And, the Urantia book does talk about a celestial musician who could really, music is another language that it's a vibrational language. It's harmonies and melodies, and it expresses stuff to us that words cannot express.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there's a whole study about it. Mothers who sing to their newborns have the newborns grow up better, they're in better moods, they're happier, they eat more. And there's the nursery rhymes across all the cultures are very similar in tempo and in tone and how they're sung to their children, to the infants.
Yeah.
So music is a part of God's language to us. It's a way that God can talk to us, is through music.
Definitely.
I hear songs and they bring tears to my eyes, no matter how many times I hear them. Some certain songs tear me up.
Music has changed the world many times. I believe that. And as a musician, back in my 20s, I used to be a recorded artist. I put a couple of albums, and I can tell you that even the association process, because I used to compose with my band members, and the association and what really comes out of that association, and you put it's really beautiful, because in our case, what we always, our policy was that it doesn't matter if you come out with the greatest riff or the greatest whatnot, if it can be as it is a very impressive musical part. but if it doesn't fit the song, it can't go into the song. If it sometimes it happens, and, there's a certain balance that the song needs. And if you're just trying to put in something in there, you have to have the maturity, you have to have the humility and everything that you can always say, it's not benefiting the song and it can put it apart. So even that is really important. And when you're associated, you're creating music, because we were creating music, and also the state that you go into, every time that a song goes, you go into like another dimension, because it's really, you start with a count and you go into a tempo, and everything that happens there happens musically. And you can be with your band members, looking at each other, what's going to happen, but you can communicate without words. It's really magical.
Yeah.
And the way, like what you're saying, what makes you feel. And I remember as a kid, my dad, and up to now, what he does is he always has music in my house, in his house. So I grew up just listening every day, it's especially in the weekends. And I remember I would go and just get close to the speakers, and it wasn't the melodies or it wasn't the words. It was something that within the harmonic changes that would just, make me happy, just make me feel very good. So I was
Right.
there, and it just made me happy, But anyways,
Yep.
just wanted to make that point there.
Well, there's a subconscious thing that music affects. Like, if you're hearing a song, you'll begin tapping your fingers, or you'll begin to integrate with the beat that you're listening to. My mom was a piano teacher. After she got married, moved to our house, uh, she bought a Steinway piano, and she gave piano lessons to every kid in the neighborhood. I mean, they all came over to her house to take lessons. And so I've been, around music my whole life too. And it 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 really is a gift to have that in your life in some way. Whether you're playing it, listening to it. I used to play.
Appreciate it.
Oh,
Once you really appreciate music, and really, uh, you know, have its magical effects, it's really, it lifts your life, I
well,
believe.
what's really neat about the music today is people are singing about their relationship with God.
Hmm.
They're expressing their gratitude, their love, and their emotions about their relationship with God, their thankfulness for fixing their lives and doing all this stuff for him. And that appreciation that comes through is really a wonderful, worshipful thing to share,
Hmm.
you know? And I think it's helping to transform this world into a more spiritual direction. I really think it's a key thing that the celestial agencies are helping to promote is the Christian music venues. Uh,
And now that you're talking about, the celestial agencies and music, and, a lot of the times what we associate, part of the angel archetype is the harp, the angel playing the harp.
Yeah,
So,
right.
and
It's a
there
good
are
point.
musicians. Yeah,
Now
I
they
mean,
play a guitar, electric guitar. They've
they've
moved up.
evolved. Yeah, but it goes to show that even in those primitive concepts, or very basic concepts, that put it that way, of celestial beings, there was art there. We were talking about
Yes,
truth,
that's an
beauty, and
interesting
goodness.
observation. That's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
interesting.
But it was always with art, and we're talking about truth, beauty, and goodness, and sometimes we take beauty for granted. And when we live in a beautiful place, and it's okay if you see, beautiful sunsets and everything, it's beautiful. But when you go to ugly places, and believe me, I've lived in places, and I always tell first world country citizens, you don't know what you really have after you really realize it, when you after you go to third world, and where there's not
Yeah.
even water, and you look at the ugliness. And I'm not criticizing. I mean, the situations is not that people want to live like that, but the circumstances put you in an ugly place, and that really, you know, it's really hard. But really, beauty, and that's something that we always say. Oh yeah, let's talk about truth. I mean, let's be truthful. Let's be good, but strive for beauty. Try to get art, and that's something that I like about the Mayas. The end game, or their formula, which is basically the concept of the supreme. It says time equals art. time, what happens is it's perfecting us, and that's the concept of the supreme. We're evolving towards the supreme. So I like that. And it's really an artistic evolution that we're becoming more artistic as we evolve. That's the way I view it.
Yeah, that's a good point. We appreciate beauty in new ways, you know? I was in Bali this last spring for a wedding for, my wife's nephew, and it's a
Hmm.
poor country, it's a third world country, but the people are so gracious and friendly. They greet like this, it's this is their greeting. I go, "That is such a great expression of goodness, of graciousness to see
Of
that."
beauty, of
Just
and trying to
thank
get
you.
yeah, and it's like the lotus flower, and the concept of the lotus flower is that it grows on top of the swamp, and that's what we have to do. I have to take out the beauty and the art, even in those circumstances. Once we associate with them, I think that's where we can get all the art. And you can hear any not only musicians, but any artist can tell you, I tapped into the source. I was inspired. Nobody tells you, yeah, I thought about that. A true artist tells you, something touched me.
Yeah, and, you know, there's cosmic art that's been created of to inspire us that the universe is bigger than what we directly see, and, helps us to get in sync with the purpose of eternity and the purposes of our existence here. We're in a creative soup kind of a situation where God is creating us minute by minute. He wants to reveal the most truth that he can to us, but we have to ask for it. We have to continually say, God, what do you want me to do today? But you know what? He's got a lot of projects going on. There's hundreds of projects you can get involved in. And that's exciting to know too, you know. Um,
Yeah, I think this is important, and a lot of people say, "Oh, this God is not going to lead me," but He does, and the associations, and sometimes you think, "Oh, I need an angel or some spiritual being to appear to me," but it's really the mortal beings that are appearing in your life that are guiding you, and when you realize that, and when you open to that, and start living in that mode, then you can start seeing the magic, and you can start seeing those celestial associations even in the human form.
yeah, one of what I think is one of the most great projects going on right now is the whole production of The Chosen.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to be a part in that play as an extra, my wife and her girlfriend in season 5. And they're wonderful people that are a part of it. It was interesting because you come into it and you meet people from other religions. There was Catholics that were helping out. There was Mormons that were helping out. There was
Yeah.
evangelical Christians that were helping out. It was all coming together to be a part of telling Jesus' story. And that was really special to see all that. Everyone was so happy. There was 600 of us in this
Yeah.
in our particular scene.
And no rifts, no conflicts. And now that you mention that, it's interesting, and I was gladly surprised that somebody from the Church of Latter Day Saints approached me and participated in the podcast. Actually, it's going to be airing right before the week before this one, and we had a good conversation, but and he was very openly, and he said, the God revealed through scripture, and he said, and God reveals through the source of the book that you read, however you call it. So I see God in all. I said, well, that's a lot of progress, and I really like that. I see that this evolution is coming, and that we don't see the necessary rifts and differences, but rather what brings us together and makes us more yeah, a united family, let's say.
Do you know how they wrote the script for The Chosen?
Yeah, you told me it was different. I think a
They
rabbi.
had a Catholic priest and a
Yeah,
rabbi and a evangelical, different, and they had to decide upon how to tell this story that, they could all agree on.
it's a story that
Just
we
to
we all know, but
Yeah,
in what
but
context?
right. in slightly different ways. But that is so good to see that
Yeah,
there's unity, especially around Jesus, which
yeah, yeah.
you know
So
those who have seen me have seen the Father, said Jesus, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the best revelation of God that you can study and know as a mortal.
yeah.
That's so
And not only in
such
this
a
planet, but throughout many planets that can take
yeah,
that model.
yeah. It's again, it can't say enough praise about Jesus, actually.
On the Divine Within podcast, we'll share real conversations to help you find a personal connection with God. My goal is to support your faith, growth, and journey toward discovering the divine within yourself. Join us to deepen your faith and spiritual journey.